Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of making us feel like we've reached the end. Circumstances arise, failures pile up, and disappointments whisper in our ears, telling us that it's over. But I came to tell you today it is not over. You are not finished because God is not finished with you. The fact that you are still breathing is proof that your assignment is not complete. The graveyard is full of people who died with their potential still inside them, but you are still here. That means there is still something in you that the world needs. You may have lost a job, lost a relationship, or even lost hope, but you have not lost your purpose. Purpose is not determined by circumstances. It is set by God before you were even born. Your destiny is not in the hands of people, the economy, or your past mistakes. It is in the hands of the one who created you. The very fact that you are alive today is proof that your purpose is still active. If you had no reason to be here, you wouldn't be breathing. You didn't wake yourself up this morning, God did. That means He still has a plan for you, a work for you to complete, and a destiny waiting to be fulfilled. Too many people give up on life because they measure their value by their circumstances. But let me tell you something, circumstances do not define purpose. If purpose depended on how things looked, then Joseph would have never become a ruler, David would have never become a king, and Peter would have never preached on the day of Pentecost. Every person God used had a moment where life tried to convince them it was over, but it wasn't. And neither is yours. You may have made mistakes. You may have failed. You may have fallen so hard that you think there's no way back up. But listen carefully, God does not waste breath on anything without value. If you are still here, there's something inside you that is still needed inside you in this world. You are not an accident. You are not forgotten. Your existence is proof that your assignment is not complete. The enemy will always try to convince you that you are finished. He will use disappointment, failure, and even people to make you believe that your best days are behind you. But the enemy is a liar. He only attacks what he is afraid of. If you are facing opposition, it is because there is something in you that threatens the darkness. The greater your assignment, the greater the resistance. But the resistance is not a sign to quit, it is a sign to push. Some of you have been through so much that you feel too broken to move forward. You've lost things, lost people, lost opportunities, and now you're wondering if there's anything left for you. But I came to tell you today, you still have a future. What you lost does not cancel what remains. God never takes something away without preparing something greater. You may not see it yet, but it is already set before you. The problem is most people stop too soon. They let the pain of yesterday rob them of the promise of tomorrow. They allow disappointment to paralyze their potential. But you must understand something, your past does not have the power to erase your purpose. No failure, no betrayal, no tragedy can remove what God has placed inside of you. If He started something in you, He will finish it. Look at Moses. He thought he was done after he killed a man in Egypt. He ran away, hid in the wilderness, and settled for an ordinary life. But God showed up in a burning bush and said, I'm not finished with you. And Moses became one of the greatest leaders in history. Look at Paul. He was once a persecutor of the very church he later led. If purpose was based on past mistakes, Paul would have been disqualified. But God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the call. Paul's existence, even after all his failures, was proof that God still had work for him to do. And I want you to look at your own life. If you are still here, it means there is more in you. There are books unwritten, dreams unfulfilled, visions unseen, and destinies unreached. You have not seen your greatest moment yet. What is in front of you is greater than what is behind you. So don't let failure stop you. Don't let setbacks define you. Don't let voices of doubt tell you it's over. Get up. Dust yourself off. If there is breath in your lungs, there is still a reason for your existence. There is still purpose to be fulfilled. There is still impact to be made. Too many people allow their circumstances to dictate their sense of purpose. They look at their failures, their struggles, and their disappointments, and they assume that these things define who they are. But I want to tell you something, your purpose is not determined by what happens to you. Your purpose was set before you were even born. Before you made a mistake, before you faced rejection, before you went through hardship, God had already decided who you were. He had already placed inside of you everything you would ever need to fulfill your destiny. The problem is we live in a world that tries to convince us otherwise. Society will label you based on your past. People will judge you based on your failures, but they do not have the power to rewrite what God has already written. Joseph had a dream as a young boy. God showed him that he was destined for greatness. But what happened next? He was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, and imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. If circumstances determined purpose, Joseph would have died in that prison, forgotten and abandoned. But purpose is not defined by where you are, it is defined by who you are. And Joseph was a ruler even when he was in a prison cell. He was a leader even when he was a slave. His environment did not determine his destiny determined his environment. And in the right time, everything he went through positioned him for the very thing God had already planned. You may be in a place right now where nothing around you looks like what God has promised. You may feel stuck, limited, and frustrated because life isn't aligning with your vision. But just because you are in a difficult season doesn't mean you are out of purpose. Some of the greatest people in history were shaped in the most painful circumstances. David was anointed as king but spent years running for his life. Moses was called to be a deliverer but spent decades in the wilderness. Esther was destined to save her people but had to risk her life to do it. If purpose depended on comfort, no one would fulfill their destiny. If purpose depended on human approval, many of the greatest leaders in history would have never stepped into their calling. You are not defined by what is happening around you. You are defined by what God placed inside you. The enemy's greatest strategy is to make you believe that your past disqualifies you. That because you made mistakes, you no longer have a future. But purpose is not something that can be canceled by failure. If that were true, Peter would have never preached after denying Jesus. Paul would have never written half the New Testament after persecuting the church. Every person that God has ever used has had a moment where they could have believed that it was over. But they didn't. Because purpose does not change based on circumstances. Right now, you may be facing rejection. You may feel like opportunities have passed you by. You may be looking at your life and wondering if you've missed your chance. But I want you to hear this clearly. What God has for you cannot be stolen. What He has placed inside of you cannot be erased. No person, no mistake, no situation can remove what has already been written about you. This is why you cannot quit. This is why you cannot let fear silence you. This is why you cannot allow temporary failure to make you believe in a permanent defeat. Purpose is greater than any obstacle you will ever face. You were created for something that cannot be destroyed by what you've been through. You may not understand everything right now, but purpose is not something you figure out. It is something you walk into. As you move forward, as you keep going, as you refuse to let circumstances define you, you will find that everything you went through was preparing you for what is ahead. The process may be painful, but the purpose is worth it. One of the greatest lies the enemy tells people is that failure is final. That once you fall, once you make a mistake, once you face a setback, your story is over. But I came to tell you today, failure is not final. It is not the end of the road. It is just a chapter in your journey. You cannot allow a temporary fall to make you believe in a permanent defeat. Look at the most successful people in history. Every single one of them failed at some point. But what made them great was not that they never failed. It was that they never stayed down. They got back up. They learned from their mistakes. They refused to let failure define them. And that's exactly what you must do. Peter was one of Jesus' closest disciples, yet in the most critical moment, he denied knowing him not once, not twice, but 3 times. Imagine the weight of that failure. Imagine the shame, the guilt, the regret. Peter could have given up right there. He could have believed that his failure had disqualified him. But Jesus wasn't done with Peter. He restored him. And Peter went on to become one of the greatest leaders of the early church. His failure did not cancel his purpose. It prepared him for it. And maybe you're in a place right now where you feel like you failed. Maybe you've lost something. Maybe you've made decisions you regret. Maybe you feel like you've messed up too badly to recover. But I want you to hear me. Your failure is not the end. Your mistake is not the final word on your life. God's purpose for you is greater than any failure you have ever experienced. Some of the most powerful lessons in life come from failure. It teaches you things success never could. It humbles you, sharpens you, and refines you. It reveals weaknesses that need strengthening and prepares you for the next level. That's why you must refuse to let failure stop you. It is not a signal to quit. It is an invitation to grow. David, the man after God's own heart, made serious mistakes. He fell in ways that should have destroyed him. But he repented, he got back up, and he finished the assignment. Paul, before he became the great apostle, was once a persecutor of the very church he later led. If God had written him off because of his past, we wouldn't have half the New Testament today. And here you are, thinking that your failure is too big for God, that your setback is too great for recovery. But I want you to hear me. God is not surprised by your mistakes. He knew every failure before it happened, and he still called you. He still chose you. He still put a purpose inside of you. If failure disqualified people, then none of the great leaders in history would have ever fulfilled their purpose. The righteous man falls 7 times, but he gets back up again. That means even if you fall, you are still righteous as long as you refuse to stay down. The only way failure wins is if you quit. But as long as you keep moving forward, as long as you learn, as long as you keep pressing toward your destiny, failure cannot hold you back. You may feel broken right now, but brokenness is not the end. You may feel lost, but you are not forgotten. You may feel like you've wasted time, but I promise you nothing is wasted in God's hands. Every mistake, every setback, every failure will become part of the testimony that proves his power in your life. So I need you to shake off the shame, shake off the regret. Stop replaying the past in your mind. It's time to move forward. Your future is waiting. Your destiny is still ahead of you. What is in front of you is greater than what is behind you. Failure is not final, it is just a step on the journey toward your purpose. Life has a way of making you feel like you've been pushed aside, like you've been delayed for too long, and like your dreams are slipping further and further away. But hear me today, setbacks do not cancel destiny. Just because things haven't happened the way you expected or in the time you wanted does not mean that your purpose has been denied. There are too many people who quit because they mistake a delay for a denial. They face obstacles, they experience rejection, they run into closed doors, and they assume that it means that time is over. But let me tell you something, purpose does not operate on your schedule. Destiny is not determined by human timelines. Just because things are taking longer than you thought does not mean God has forgotten you. Some of the greatest people in history had to wait before they saw the fulfillment of their purpose. Look at Joseph. He had a vision of greatness as a young boy, but what happened next? Instead of walking into his promise, he was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, and imprisoned for years. Imagine the moments he must have felt forgotten. Imagine how many times he must have questioned whether the dream was real. But the delay was not a denial. The process was not punishment, it was preparation. Because when the time came, Joseph stepped into his destiny, and every setback positioned him for his assignment. Some of you have been asking, why is it taking so long? Why hasn't it happened yet? But I want you to hear this. God is not just preparing the promise for you. He is preparing you for the promise. Sometimes the delay is necessary because if you receive something too soon, you won't be ready to handle it. What good is a blessing if you don't have the character to sustain it? What good is a position if you don't have the wisdom to lead? A delay is often God's way of making sure that when you step into your purpose, you won't just visit it, you will stay in it. David was anointed as king while he was still a shepherd boy. He had the calling, he had the oil, but he did not yet have the throne. Instead, he had to go through years of being hunted by Saul, hiding in caves, and learning how to trust God even when it looked like everything was against him. If purpose was immediate, David would have gone straight from the field to the palace. But he had to go through the process because the process develops you. And some of you are in that process right now. You are in the waiting season, you are in the struggle. You are watching other people walk into their promise while you're still in the cave. But don't mistake the waiting for a rejection. Don't let frustration cause you to give up. If you are still in the process, that means you are still in purpose. The enemy wants you to quit too soon. He wants you to believe that because it hasn't happened yet, it will never happen. He wants you to get discouraged and walk away from your destiny before you see the promise fulfilled. But I came to tell you today, hold on. Keep moving forward. Keep believing. Keep trusting. If God said it, it will happen. If he called you, he will bring it to pass. Your delay is not a denial. Some doors are closed because the wrong people are standing at the entrance. Some opportunities haven't come because you're not ready to handle them yet. Some dreams haven't been fulfilled because there is still something inside of you that needs to be developed. Trust the timing. Trust the process. Trust that every setback is setting you up for something greater. You may have lost time, but nothing is wasted in God's hands. You may have faced rejection, but rejection is just redirection to something better. You may have been delayed, but delayed does not mean defeat. Your purpose is still intact. Your future is still secure, and your destiny is still waiting for you. You were created to finish, not to quit. You were designed to complete what you started, to fulfill what was placed inside of you, and to walk out the assignment that was written for your life. Too many people stop before they reach the end. Too many people let obstacles, disappointments, and failures convince them that they cannot go any further. But I want to remind you today, if you are still here, that means your race is not finished. God does not start anything without finishing it. When He created the heavens and the earth, He didn't stop halfway. He didn't abandon His work when darkness was covering the deep. No, He kept speaking. He kept moving. He kept shaping the world until it was complete. And then He said that it's finished. You were made in His image, which means you have the same spirit inside of you, the spirit of a finisher. But the enemy knows that if you ever reach the finish line, if you ever fulfill your purpose, if you ever step into the fullness of what you were created to do, then he loses. So what does he do? He tries to weigh you down. He tries to discourage you. He throws distractions, disappointments, and delays in your path to make you think it's better to give up. But you must understand opposition is proof that what you are carrying is valuable. The more resistance you face, the greater the destiny you are walking toward. Look at Nehemiah. He had a vision to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. But the moment he started, opposition rose against him. People mocked him, tried to intimidate him, and even plotted to kill him. But Nehemiah refused to stop. He said, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. And because he refused to quit, the walls were rebuilt in record time. Some of you are facing battles right now because you are in the middle of something great. You are on the verge of breakthrough. You are walking toward the promise. And that is why the pressure is increasing. That is why it feels like everything is against you. But listen to me, this is not the time to back down. This is not the time to let weariness stop you. You must keep pressing forward. Paul said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Notice he didn't just say, I have run the race. He said, I have finished it. There are many people who start strong but don't finish. They allow distractions to pull them away. They allow failures to break them down. They allow doubt to convince them to walk away. But purpose is not about how well you start, it's about whether you finish. Jesus himself, when he hung on the cross, did not stop halfway. He did not call down angels to remove him from the pain. He did not quit when the suffering became unbearable. No, he endured, he stayed, he pressed through until he could declare, it is finished. That is the spirit you must have. That is the mindset you must carry. No matter what comes against you, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you fall, you must decide that quitting is not an option. And maybe you feel tired. Maybe you've been running for so long that you're wondering if you have the strength to continue. But I came to tell you today, God is not asking you to finish in your own strength. He is not requiring you to do it alone. He is the author and the finisher of your faith. If he started it, he will complete it. If he called you, he will equip you. If he gave you the vision, he will provide the provision. So don't stop now. Don't give up when you are so close. You didn't come this far just to come this far. What is ahead of you is greater than what is behind you. The race is still in progress, and you were born to finish. There is something inside of you that the world needs. You were not created to simply exist, to just survive, or to go through the motions of life without meaning. You were designed with a purpose, built for a destiny, and equipped with everything necessary to fulfill your assignment. But too many people live their lives unaware of the power and potential inside of them. They settle for less than they were created for. They allow fear, doubt, and the opinions of others to silence their gift. But I came to tell you today, there is something in you that must come out. You are carrying something significant. There is an idea, a vision, a gift, a dream inside of you that is not just for you, it is meant to impact others. Purpose is never about just one person. When a seed grows into a tree, it does not eat its own fruit. The tree produces for others. And in the same way, What you carry is meant to bless people beyond yourself. But the enemy knows this. And that is why his greatest attack is not on what is around you, it is on what is inside of you. The enemy is not after your house. He is not after your car. He is not after your money. He is after your purpose. Because if he can convince you that what is inside of you is not valuable, you will bury it. You will silence your voice. You will delay your calling. And the very thing that you were born to release into the world will remain locked inside of you. But I declare today you will not die full. You will not leave this earth without giving birth to what God has placed inside of you. Look at Moses. He was born with the destiny of being a deliverer, yet he spent years hiding in the wilderness, believing he was not qualified. He made mistakes, he doubted himself, and he tried to run from his calling. But God did not let him stay hidden. He called him out of obscurity, reminded him of who he was, and sent him to fulfill his assignment. Some of you have been running from what you are supposed to do. You have been suppressing your gift because you are afraid of failure. You have been waiting for the perfect conditions before you step out. But I need you to hear me, there will never be a perfect time. If you keep waiting for everything to align, you will never start. You must begin where you are with what you have and trust that what is inside of you is enough. Jeremiah was a prophet, but when God called him, he said, I'm only a child. He thought he was too young, too inexperienced, too unqualified. But God told him, do not say you are only a child. I have appointed you, I have put my words in your mouth, and you will go and do what I have called you to do. In other words, stop making excuses. Stop talking yourself out of your assignment. If God placed something inside of you, he will make sure it comes to pass. Do not let fear silence you. Do not let rejection stop you. Do not let failure convince you to give up. There are people waiting on you to step into your purpose. There are lives that will be changed because of what you carry. If you do not release it, the world will miss what you were sent to give. It does not matter how much time has passed. It does not matter how many mistakes you have made. It does not matter if people have overlooked you or counted you out. As long as you have breath in your body, you still have something to give. You still have something to create. You still have something to build, something to write, something to speak, something to release. This is not the time to be passive. This is not the time to let fear win. It is time to rise up, to recognize what is inside of you, and to bring it into the world. You were not designed to leave this earth full of unfulfilled potential. You were meant to pour out everything that was placed inside of you. There is more ahead of you than behind you. No matter what has happened, no matter what you have lost, no matter how much time has passed, your greatest days are still in front of you. Too many people live in the past, trapped by their mistakes, their failures, and even their successes. They spend their lives looking back, reminiscing on what was or regretting what could have been. But I came to tell you today, your past does not define your future. Where you have been is not as important as where you are going. The enemy wants you to believe that your best days are behind you. He wants you to think that you have peaked, that you have no more to give, that you are too old, too broken, or too late. But let me remind you, God never runs out of plans. He never runs out of purpose. He never says, that was all I had for you. As long as you have breath, there is still more. There is still another level. There is still another assignment. There is still something greater waiting for you. Abraham was 75 years old when God told him to leave his country and step into a new land. 75. Most people at that age are thinking about slowing down, but God was just getting started with him. Caleb was 85 when he declared, "Give me this mountain." He refused to settle. He refused to let age determine his destiny. He knew that what was ahead of him was still greater than what was behind him. And maybe you feel like your time has passed. Maybe you feel like you've wasted too many years, made too many mistakes, or missed too many opportunities. But listen to me, God is a redeemer of time. He knows how to accelerate you. He knows how to restore what was lost. He knows how to take the years the enemy stole and bring back everything you thought was gone. Look at Job. He lost everything, but in the end, God gave him double for his trouble. Look at Joseph. He spent years in a prison for a crime, He didn't commit, but in one day, God elevated him to the highest position in the land. One day of favor can redeem years of struggle. One open door can erase a lifetime of waiting. That is why you cannot give up now. That is why you must stop looking back and start looking forward. What you have been through is not the end of your story. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not define you. Your mistakes may have taught you, but they do not limit you. There is still more to your life than what you have seen. Paul said, forgetting what is behind and pressing toward what is ahead, I press toward the mark. Notice he did not say, I glance at the past and move forward. No, he said, I forget what is behind. Some of you are trying to move forward while still holding on to yesterday, but you cannot step into your future while your mind is trapped in the past. You must let go of what was so you can embrace what is to come. God told Israel, do not remember the former things, for I am doing a new thing. And I believe that is what he is saying to you today. I am doing something new. But you must be willing to let go of what is behind you to receive it. Some people miss their future because they are too attached to their past. Some people never experience what's next because they are still holding on to what used to be. But if you will release what was, you will see what can be. Your story is not finished. Your journey is not over. Your best days are still ahead of you. Do not let your past dictate your future. Do not let what you lost keep you from what is coming. Do not let mistakes, failures, or disappointments convince you that it is too late. God is not finished with you yet. My friend, you are not over. Everything you have been through was not the end, it was preparation. Every delay, every setback, every disappointment was shaping you for something greater. Your past does not define you, your failures do not limit you, and your best days are not behind you. There is more inside of you. There is more ahead of you. There is still a purpose waiting to be fulfilled. Do not let fear stop you. Do not let doubt silence you. Do not let the weight of yesterday keep you from stepping into tomorrow. Keep pressing forward. Keep believing. Keep trusting that what God has started in you, he will finish. You were created to win, designed to complete your assignment, and built to leave a legacy that outlives you. Now is your time. Rise up, step out, and walk boldly into the future that is waiting for you. The world needs what you carry. Your purpose is still intact. Your destiny is still calling. And as long as you have breath, there is still time to become everything you were born to be. Good luck on your journey, and may you walk in strength, purpose, and victory. Thank you, and God bless you.